Hi guys, and welcome to Cultnomics. My name is Paul Hanley, and today I'm going to be chatting to you about an introduction to the business cycle. So guys, in this video we're going to look at the idea of a business cycle. And a business cycle is a basic concept in macroeconomics which tries to explain how output in the economy falls at some times and increases at others. So how it fluctuates or how it cycles over time. And in order to explain this, we're going to first start off with a definition. The definition of our business cycle is short-run fluctuations in economic activity, and by this we mean gross domestic product or output in the economy, over time, indicating cyclical periods of downturns and upturns. So output in the economy increasing and decreasing over time. Now the easiest way to show this is through a business cycle graph. And on this graph, as we can see on the video here, we have years along the x-axis or the horizontal axis, and we're going to call this axis time in a second. And up on the y-axis, we have growth in GDP in percentage terms. So this is growth in the output level of an economy with years or time put down here on the x-axis. And what a business cycle does is it tracks out growth in a business cycle or growth in output over time. Sometimes we see in a country a peak in the GDP output, and this would be a peak or the highest point of GDP output growth in the economy. And sometimes we see the lowest point in that graph, and that is a trough. So the lowest point is the lowest point of GDP output growth in this. So we call this a trough. Now, moving from a peak, the highest point, down to a trough, we see a contractionary period. So this is when output begins to fall, maybe due to a contraction in consumption expenditure or investments or inventories going too high. Whereas if we look on the right hand side, what we see is moving from a trough to a peak, we have an expanding economy, more spending, more investment, more government spending in the economy. So a growing economy is an expansionary economy. If we want to link all these points together, what we can do is we can get a trend line or an average line going through them. This line shows the average output growth in the economy over time and allows us to break up our business cycle into periods of high growth, indicated in the video here, and low growth, which we'll see in a minute's time. So high growth here we refer to as an inflationary gap, and this is when output growth is above the trend line or above average. So this is when the economy tends to overheat, inflate, prices increase due to extra spending in the economy. And we have two periods of an inflation gap indicated on our business cycle here. At the opposite extreme, when we see output growth fall below the trend line, what we tend to find is we have what's called a recessionary gap. A recessionary gap is when spending decreases below the average, economic activity falls. We may drop into the more technical term of a recession in this case, where spending is quite low and prices start to fall. And again, as indicated on our graph, we have two periods of a recessionary gap on this business cycle here. I hope you call back to Cultnomics soon. Bye for now.